I'm Levi here at the Bruins Game 4 against the Lightning, and you're watching Post to Post.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. It's official. The Boston Bruins have been eliminated. I got my Lightning hat on. Decided to wear a shirt that kind of matched the colors.
Got my Lightning hat on.
You've got a Lightning hat on.
Not Tampa Bay Lightning, but the Milton Keynes Lightning. Since I don't wear other teams' merch in the NHL, this is as close as I can get and still represent a little bit. So
you've got a
and Tapera in
the Finnish Liga.
Finnish Liga. I've got this recently sent jersey in mail time. Fits me great, and it represents an axe because an axing took place today.
Yes, an elimination took place today, and you could say that the Boston Bruins took a licking. And 3-1 game today.
3-1 game.
We'll talk a little bit about the game. We'll talk mostly about the series, but we can touch on the game first. But before we do that, as most of you know, especially the ones who contribute on Patreon, I'm giving away a Winnipeg jersey that I'm going to be doing the draw very soon. I have a list of 60 names here on this paper of everyone that qualifies on Patreon, and I'm going to cut these up into little individual things, and I'm going to do a physical draw. That's going to happen in a couple of days, so there's 60 people. So if you contributed at the $5 level or more on Patreon in April, then you have a 1 in 60 chance to win a jersey. Now, that changes a little bit for May. I'm giving away a jersey every single month. In May, which is this month, anyone contributing at $10 or more gets to put in a draw to win a jersey, and that's going to be a Rangers jersey. And so that $10 tier is specifically for the jersey giveaway. If you'd like to get have a chance at winning a jersey every single month, you can just go on the Patreon. The link's down in the description and contribute at the $10 level. It's kind of like a raffle.
Yeah.
You pay $10. It helps the channel. You have a 1 in whatever chance. I would say about probably 25 or to 30 of these names are actually in the $5 level. So next month in May, it's not going to be 60 people. It's actually going to be more like 30 or 35 people.
Pretty good odds.
1 in 30, 35 to win a Rangers jersey. That's pretty good. So I would say better statistics than a normal raffle to win something else. So.
And even if you don't win the jersey, you're helping out your channel.
And if you do win the jersey, or whoever wins the jersey, their name comes out of the next draw. So you're always coming down. Yeah. So
makes it fair.
Anyways, back to the task at hand, which is the series. It's this game specifically was Boston really just struggles to put the puck in the back of the net. Really, the whole series, but today they had some good chances, but they weren't like in an elimination game. Usually, the team that's about to get eliminated is all over the opposing team. I didn't get that feeling today.
No. They didn't have that sense of urgency, that sense of immediacy going.
They looked a little tired. Yeah. Other than that top line, there wasn't really a lot of offense being generated.
No. They got the first goal.
They did, which is very nice.
Off to a pretty good start.
Power play, though, they're having trouble scoring a 5-on-5.
Yeah.
So.
And they couldn't back it up with anything. It was...
they took some undisciplined penalties as well.
Yeah,
Backus again, I've been preaching this the entire series, Backus again took an undisciplined penalty. That being said, it was unfortunate to see what happened to him and get hit in the head or side of the head.
And he's out. He was out for the remainder of the game. Now that, of course, Boston has been eliminated, the issue of him when he's coming back is only a golfing issue or some other kind, not really a hockey issue. But he did look like he was hit pretty hard. It was a clean check. Two guys met, two helmets collided, and it was just the angle, I guess, of the helmets that Backus had much more effect from it than the other player. And I apologize for not remembering who the other player was. But it was clean. It wasn't up against the boards. It was an open ice hit, fairly close to the boards, but it was open ice. And I thought, I wasn't sure if Backus actually had his injury when the helmets collided or when he fell and his head snapped. I don't know if his head snapped and hit the ice, but he certainly had a...
I think it was the initial contact.
It looked like it probably
It was Miller, the other player.
Miller, JT.
As much as I was harping on Backus and stuff, this series, in the last series, obviously it's never...
You never want to see anybody get hurt.
So, regardless of whatever's said, I just want to say something really quick. Canadiens fans, fellow Canadiens fans, you can get angry at me. People who hate Boston, you can get angry at me. I'm going to make a statement, and I honestly mean it. An unbiased statement. I'm scared of Boston the next coming years. They've got so many young players, on there. Donato looked really good. DeBrusque, McAvoy. I'm honestly, as a fan of the Canadians in the same division as the Bruins, I'm scared of the Bruins in the coming years. So I tweeted this out actually. As great as a season that Boston had, I don't think anyone would have predicted that they would have had such a successful regular season and made it this far in the playoffs. I think people saw Boston as maybe around 7 or 8 in the conference, maybe a little bit higher than that, but certainly not challenging Tampa Bay for top in the East, 1 point behind Tampa Bay. So I think Boston fans really should be proud of their team this year. Nothing really to be disappointed about as a whole. Obviously, there's some individual things that are very frustrating since it's so fresh. Rask doesn't have the best numbers in the playoffs. Had trouble putting the puck back in the back of the net. 5-on-5, they struggle offensively. Obviously, there's little things like that, but as a whole, I think Bruins fans can be they can feel proud of this season.
And they can be very optimistic for the future.
Absolutely.
Boston has either just snuck in or not snuck into the playoffs the last several years. Here they have a run midway through round 2 against the team that's favored by many to be the Cup winner this year. And they've made a decent accounting of themselves. Other than the only game that was really a blowout was the game that Boston won, 6-2.
You're right.
The other games were all close, 4-2, 4-3, overtime, one of them. This one here, 3-1, and that third goal was an empty netter with just a minute or so left. So the games weren't lopsided. They were fairly low scoring, actually, other than that first game. And Boston will be a very powerful team with this young talent coming up in the next couple of years. No question.
Scared,
yeah. So it's going to be an interesting time now. What Tampa Bay has, they probably have, I don't know, maybe a week.
They've played 10 games and they're already to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
They're well rested. That's bad news for Washington or Pittsburgh, whoever they have to play. Tampa is well rested. They have players performing on all lines. I picked Braden Point to be the player to watch this series. He got 7 points, I believe. He got a goal tonight. He had a couple goals the previous couple of games.
Yeah.
So when I'm picking these players, so far I'm right. Sorensen hasn't really had that amazing of a series for the Sharks, but in this specific series, my prediction, I guess, was right as far as the player. And regardless of prediction, Braden Point is a pretty special player to watch. Very talented, very fast. Yanni Gourde doing his thing. I felt he could have taken a shot there at the end in the third period. I'm not sure why he was waiting for the trailing person to come in.
Yeah, but, they have to talk to some players about that. It's all about percentages and about high risk versus low risk. Taking a shot, in that case, was really a low risk play. It's a low risk play that could have resulted in something good.
Yeah.
And that'll just come with maturity.
And it was a very low percentage pass because of the opposing player that was coming in alongside I think it was, I don't even know who it was, it doesn't matter. But
yeah.
Speaking about penalties, just to transition to that, there was a non-call in the first period. It was a trip. I can't remember what players were involved, but basically the Tampa player tripped the Boston player. I thought that was a penalty. I don't know how they didn't call it, because later on that period, or the next period, I can't remember, there was a Tampa Bay player tripped a Boston player, and it was basically the exact same play, and they called it a penalty. So extremely inconsistent there with the tripping penalties. I really thought that Boston should have had a power play, the first power play of the game in the first period on that tripping penalty. I don't know if it would have made a difference in the game. I mean, Boston did score a power play goal later on in the game, but just saying, I think there was a missed call there.
Early in the third, the commentators, and I watched both NBC and CBC for obvious reasons we'll talk about here shortly. But one of the commentators, I think it was NBC, made the remark that about halfway through the third period, Brad Marchand had not had a shot at the net. Not even a shot on goal, but a shot at the goal in the game. And I don't know if that's a carryover from the emotion of whatever happened the previous game or the talkings to that he got. But he was quite ineffective this game.
I think he felt like he couldn't play his game because there was so many eyes on him for what he did. And I think, you do these little things to try and get under the opposing player's skin, and some of them are funny, some of them are a little dirty, some of them are a little licky. But I think in general, it became such a big deal that it was such a distraction for him and the rest of the team, maybe more so him, obviously. But I think it really worked against him rather than for them, trying to annoy the other team. So I think he should feel bad for the rest of his teammates for his actions, and I'm sure he does. But
I think so, and probably in the dressing room before, during, after the game, at some point he will have a conversation with his teammates, and they'll come to some sort of conclusion that will be helpful for them in the future. I thought, and I watched very closely for the handshakes afterwards to see what might happen tonight, because there's so much animosity during a series, especially that kind of series. We didn't have a lot of dropping gloves kind of fights, but there was lots of pushing and shoving. There was lots of bad feelings. But the handshake line was exceptionally civilized. Brad Marchand was in the handshake line. NBC cut to him when he shook Callahan's hand. CBC had, it was in view, but CBC didn't focus on it. But NBC not only focused on it, but the commentators, Marv Albert, I think it was, I forget, mentioned it. The Callahan and Marchand had just shaken hands, and you could see it, and it was civil. I thought that was good.
Did they kiss?
No, but I got thinking. Anyone who's my age or older will get this. There used to be there still is, Timex watches. And Timex watches had commercials back in the 60s and early 70s about how tough they were. They would strap a Timex watch to a water ski and then water ski through the water with the Timex watch on it. They would do all kinds of things, and they pull out the watch after it's been abused and it's still working. So the motto that Timex had for these ads would be the motto that I could attach to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
Takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Yeah.
Because they're going to the third round. So they're ticking away, and good for them. I really enjoyed tonight's game in particular, because it wasn't one of these cliff-hanging things that drives me nuts. Boston was close. They pulled Rask a couple of times, and they were around the net. They were buzzing, and they had some good shots. But Vasilevsky, when he needed to be great, he was great. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, was a lot of the difference right there in the crease. In each of these games, other than the first one, in the following 4 games, or 3 games, Tampa, and they scored 4 goals in each of those 3 games. And if you score 4 goals, that means the other team has to score 5 goals on Vasilevsky to beat you. And I think that was the killer right there. If you can fill the other team's net with 4 goals, and you've got Vasilevsky back there behind you, that's superb.
Yeah, definitely.
And today they scored only 3 goals, but that's all they needed.
And Rask's numbers, I mean, I think because of today, he moves to 3-5 in elimination games with a goals against average above 3 and a save percentage below 900.
Yeah, quite a bit below 900.
His elimination numbers aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
In the face-off circle, Tampa Bay was really good at 55% today.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a win all over the ice for the most part.
It was. They locked it down. This is their first chance to eliminate the other team, and they did it. They didn't fiddle around and take 2 games to do it. They did it now. They did it at home for their own fans. I think had they somehow not won today and it had gone back to Boston, I wouldn't be putting any money on the series, because Boston is a proud, hard-working team, notwithstanding I think tonight was a bit of a lack of effort for them. But if they want, I had the feeling tonight all through the game, if Boston decided they wanted the game more than Tampa, then they could have won it. And I just think that they didn't have that.
I had the feeling that Tampa Bay didn't win this game. Boston lost this game for themselves.
I think so.
Because the effort level wasn't where you would expect it to be in an elimination game.
Mm-hmm. There were a few players that were jets on the whole time, McAvoy being one. He never quit. Mm-hmm. And even right up to a minute left, when you still, you're 2 goals down, you have to face the reality. He's still going hard.
I think Krejci had a pretty good game. Pasternak had a really good game. He had lots of chances.
He's amazing.
He is amazing.
He is so amazing. I was so impressed with him.
Jealous. Very jealous that he's on Boston.
Yeah.
And DeBrusk as well.
DeBrusk, very good.
Makes me angry that they're on Boston, but I like those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And Boston will be turning a page sometime fairly soon. Zdeno Chara is not a young man. He still has time in him, I think. But
I think he signed for another year.
I think so.
Maybe.
And I guess we'll see how effective he can be.
He plays more minutes than anyone. So he's clearly not slowing down physically. He's in extreme shape. So
Yeah. Of course, he's 8 feet tall, so he takes 2 strides and he's halfway across center ice. So you don't have to skate all that hard to be Zdeno Chara. You just have to look over there and
I guess
you're there.
in the season preview, or the series preview for this, we were criticized a little bit for not talking a lot about Tampa Bay. We spent the majority of our time talking about Boston.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true in this video as well. That's more so a compliment towards Tampa Bay.
Definitely.
Because there's not really a lot to say about Tampa Bay. Usually when we talk a lot, it's complaining about the little things because we're analyzing stuff. There's not really anything to complain about a lot with Tampa Bay. So the fact that you're not hearing us analyze Tampa Bay a lot is a good thing if you're a Tampa Bay fan. There's nothing really to complain about. If we want to get really nitpicky, there's definitely some things like this stupid drop pass that they do when they're trying to break in the zone on 5-on-5 and the power play.
And some of the no-look passes, too.
No-look passes. But that when they're breaking in, they're trying to be Nashville, and they can't do it. And it's causing a cluster, you-know-what, at the blue line. And frustrating hockey to watch. But
yeah, they've got to cure that before the next series. Whoever they face next time is going to make them pay for that if they're not careful. But the constant drop passes, sometimes dropping the drop pass back to not your own player.
It happened multiple times by Sergachev. McDonough did it once. It happened. So.
And you can bet that Barry Trotz and whoever are going over videotape.
You think already?
Oh, well, someone is in the teams.
I guess.
Someone's looking for these things, looking for these vulnerabilities. And the first time Tampa tries to do that drop pass trickery against its next opponent, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a pickoff attempt.
Well, Boston was smart. They started to pick up on it.
They started to
intercept the passes, and they adapted to that play. So good on Boston for doing that.
Yeah. Too little, too late, but they were catching on. As we know, we did a video just a couple of days ago about the rate of face-offs that are missed on TV broadcasts because they're so busy showing other things in the rink or on replays. And one thing I didn't know for sure was how the CBC, who was my main target in that video, compared with NBC.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
we kind of theorized that maybe they use the same camera.
Maybe.
Feed.
Yeah. Or that NBC, if anything, was going to be better than CBC, or maybe didn't do it at all. I couldn't remember NBC missing face-offs. So
we accepted the challenge today.
We accepted the challenge. We had the opportunity, because we have both feeds on a day like this. We don't get NBCSN, so most of the weeknight things we're never going to see, because unless CBC picks that up as their feed and rebroadcast it, which they do, we don't get to see NBCSN. But we do get to see the main network. And on the main network today was the Boston-Tampa game. So I PVR'd that, and at the same time PVR'd the CBC version of the game. So we watched the NBC broadcast. And in the first period, there were 25 face-offs. 10 face-offs were missed by NBC. In the second period, there were 25 face-offs, and NBC missed 7 of the 25. And in the third period, there were 19 face-offs, and NBC missed 4. Then I switched over to CBC, knowing now, because I'd written down all the stoppages of play, exactly what times they happened.
Spreadsheet.
Well,
Take this seriously.
Got to make the Excel dance a little bit. And so in the CBC side, it was easy. I could fast forward to that exact moment when they're going to drop the puck after the stoppage of play. Didn't have to watch the game again. Just fast forward to those areas. In the first period, while the NBC crew missed 10 face-offs, by my count, and others have counted already, and they've counted differently than me, and they might have different rules. By my count, it was 13 on CBC. So CBC missed 3 more face-offs than NBC. And they don't have the same camera feed because the face-offs they missed were often different. The first few were the same, but then at the 13:05 mark and 12:51 mark, CBC missed 2 face-offs and NBC didn't. So that clearly demonstrates they're different cameras.
Exactly.
In the second period...
Well, not different cameras, but different...
Well, different
decisions.
Selection of cameras, yeah. In the second period, NBC missed 7 out of the 25, and CBC missed 8, so they missed 1 more. And there were several discrepancies of missing different ones. In one case, at the 9:17 mark, both networks missed 5 seconds of the play, both of them.
And we mentioned this in the podcast that released earlier today. Some of these missed face-offs are due to replays I'm not critical of those, and I don't think you are either,
No.
because replays are good and stuff. Sometimes they play the replay 3 times, which isn't needed, and we miss the face-off, and that's annoying. But generally, when a replay plays, when you miss a face-off, not huge deal, but it's the ones that annoy us where they're just zoomed in on someone on the bench for 8 seconds, and you're just looking at him, looking at whatever he's looking at. It means nothing. It has no context to what's going on, and you miss a face-off. Those are the frustrating ones.
And of the ones that were missed in total today, very few of them were replay misses. They were all pan shot misses, where they were preferring something in the crowd or something on the bench, or a close-up of a player's face who's getting ready for the face-off, but you can't see the face-off. In the third period, NBC missed 4, CBC missed 8 out of a total of 19. So the numerical totals are as follows. In this game today, there were 69 face-offs.
Hey-o.
NBC missed 21 of them, which I was disappointed to see. I thought there'd be a lot less, because I had NBC in higher esteem than that. CBC missed 29 of the 69. So
That's like 40%?
that's about 40%. 41%.
That's unacceptable.
It is unacceptable. And as we said before, one is too many.
Yeah.
Understandable, you might have 1 or 2, just because I noticed one thing with the Winnipeg-Nashville series. Their time spent between blow of whistle and puck drop was a lot shorter.
Yeah, it's minimal.
A lot shorter.
Yeah. They don't waste any time.
They don't waste any time. It was like between 15 and 20 seconds, the play was underway again. Because when I skip with my PVR, it goes 30 seconds at a time.
Yep.
And sometimes I'd hear a whistle, hit skip, and when the skip is concluded at 30 seconds fast forward, they're playing again.
Yeah.
It's like, how the heck?
And the officiating in general has been, like, refereeing and the penalties have been really, really good in that series. So whoever's doing that series, as far as the linesmen and referees, huge thumbs up.
Yeah.
Perfection.
But both series in the East,
Yes.
the Tampa, Boston, and Washington, Pittsburgh, lengthy amounts of time, even at an icing. And an icing, you're supposed to be right back on the horse. You don't want to give the team that caused the icing lots of time to recover and to reset.
Yeah.
But because the teams are slow to skate down the ice, or for whatever reason,
Having conversations. They shouldn't be having conversations.
or try that late last-minute line change that they can't do, and then they got to stop and sort it all out. That's, to me, delay a game, 2 minutes for the bench
Yeah.
player in the box. Even today, there was a point where I think Boston was in the offensive zone,
They were.
and Tampa was all lined up.
Yep.
Boston was lined up, and all of a sudden Marchand skates back to talk to Bergeron, or Bergeron skates back to talk to Marchand, or whatever.
Marchand and Bergeron both skated back to talk to Chara or McAvoy. One of the two.
So they're making a play. They're
Yeah.
trying to get a set play going, but it was way past the time you should be doing
Yeah,
that.
the linesman's like this, and he very briskly skated back to tell him, "What's going on, guys? Let's go. Let's get her done."
Yeah, and that's the kind of crap I don't like to see in a face-off situation. And that's I ranted a few months ago about, if I were in charge of things, if that happened, if I were the linesman, drop the puck anyway. Let Tampa pick the puck up and go down the ice with it. If you're going to play that dinking around game, then we'll see how that works for you.
Yeah,
So,
good.
CBC still is the most egregious violator of the showing face-off principle in my book. NBC was less bad, but still bad enough. And we've had some comments coming in on the other video where people have watched the game today, and they've done some counting as well. And quite a few people are supportive of the previous video.
Yeah,
and they're going to start watching, and they weren't watching.
Something
for it
that
before.
they've been annoyed with a little bit, but sometimes don't really pay attention to. Now that they will pay attention to it, and if you're if you find this really annoying, tweet at CBC, tweet at NBC, let them know that you're annoyed. Do a count in the game and send them the count via Twitter. Let them know. Maybe it'll help.
Who knows? It won't do anything until those networks realize that it's important to the fans.
Yeah.
That the fans want a higher quality of TV experience than they're getting right now. And I don't know what the alternative is. Here I was hoping that NBC would be a good alternative to CBC. And if I had a choice to watch either one, if that was my most important thing, then I could switch to NBC and do better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do a whole lot better. Hardly worth making the switch.
It's an alternative. It's not a good alternative. It's
It
just
is
an
not.
alternative.
The best alternative is to hire me and make me the director.
Boom.
That's the alternative.
Get her done.
Because apparently no one else is able to do this. It can't be that hard. You just sit in a chair and say, I'd have one camera that's my only face-off camera all the time.
Definitely, and it should be the biggest thing on the thing.
And it would be, okay, camera F for face-off. Camera F ready? Take F. Boom. I don't care what else is going on.
Doesn't matter what's going on.
And if we miss a pour or miss a blob of snot flying through the air that the other camera was trying to catch, too bad.
Too bad, yeah. That's the way it should work.
That's the way it should work. So Tampa will have a good rest in the next week or so while Pittsburgh and Washington club each other to a pulp. And whoever emerges from that will be facing a team that's got a lot of rest. Like you say, closed off both of their first series in 5 games each. They've only played 10 games.
Yeah.
And they're cruising.
Cruising. So
and I think they're not going to be overconfident. I think they're smart enough.
Yeah.
They've been to the rodeo before.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I agree.
Yeah, they'll be well prepared. They're going to be a tough team to beat.
It's scary.
It really is.
Next series is going to be really good. Definitely really good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I hope you guys had fun watching this series, and obviously you're a Boston fan. You're a little disappointed now, but
sure.
You have to be happy for the future.
You're not as disappointed as Montreal fans are. Let me tell you.
Yeah. We're really disappointed. So thanks for watching the video, guys. If you did like it, hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. Adios.